participants. We are going to start with our webinar today. We are going to start the webinar sharp at 10:30. A very good morning to one and all. A warm and cordial welcome to our esteemed resource persons, research scholars, academicians, my dear friends and dear students, to this national webinar organized by the Department of Education, Don Bosco College, Tura. The theme of our webinar is Technology and Innovation in Education. To start with, I would like to emphasize on the quote by Sir Isaac Newton, who was an English mathematician, physicist, astronomer, theologian, and an author. He stated, "What we know is a drop, and what we do not know is an ocean." Since education is a lifelong and continuous process, let us all acquire skills and competencies, gather knowledge, information, wisdom, try to be innovative, try to be creative, etc., in order to fill in the mighty ocean. Education is the most important factor for the development of human civilization. The new normal of today's pandemic world is survival of the fittest. So let us all stay strong. Let us be mentally, emotionally, and physically strong to keep ourselves safe in this pandemic situation. Another new normal of this pandemic world is survival of the quickest and the fastest. So in order to be quick and fast, we need to be technology oriented. We need to keep ourselves acquainted with technology. We need to be digitally sound. For that matter, I would like to remind all of you that recently the new educational policy has been passed by the cabinet, and it has emphasized on technology and innovation in education. It has also given more stress on technology and online learning in higher education. And we need, as we cannot face our students face to face these days because of this pandemic situation, let us make our effort to reach to them through the virtual platform. so that we can communicate to them and they do not feel emotionally down, they do not feel frustrated, they do not feel as an isolate, they do not feel as a neglectee in the society. So let me now invite our principal, Father Vivan Rodriguez Mukhim, to start with the welcome address.
Yep, stop me. A very good morning to everyone. On behalf of Don Bosco College, Tura, I would like to welcome each and every one of you to the National Webinar on Technology and Innovation in Education, organized by the Department of Education, Don Bosco College, Tura. As I welcome each and every one of you to the webinar, I would like to express my sincere words of thanks to all those who made this webinar possible. I place on record my sincere thanks to the Department of Education, Don Bosco College, Tura. Special mention to Dr. Uma Roy Bhomik, Head of the Department of Education, Don Bosco College, Tura, for contacting the resource persons and for making the webinar possible. To Dr. Mueller Buell M. Sangma, Assistant Professor, Education Department, Don Bosco College, Tura, and to Ms. Rubita A. Sangma, faculty members of the department and other staff members of the college. I would like to thank the resource persons of the webinar, Dr. Geeta S. Shetty, Associate Professor, St. Xavier's Institute of Education, Mumbai, and to Dr. Manju Gupta, Associate Professor, Department of Education, Meerut College, Meerut. To the technical team of the college, Sri John Satish and Sri Javelin A. Sangma, who made all the arrangement to have this webinar. To the district administration, West Garo Hills, Tura, Meghalaya, and especially the Treasury Officer, West Garo Hills, for providing us the control room for our web seminar, this web conference. And to NIC Meghalaya for providing us the internet facilities. Don Bosco College is situated in a small hill town of Tura in the western part of the state of Meghalaya. The college is considered as one of the prestigious colleges in a place where educational institutions are still few in number compared to its counterparts in Shillong and other towns of Meghalaya. A place where internet facilities and connectivity is at times less than 2 Mbps. Yet, with all these limitations, the college during this time of the lockdown due to the COVID-19 had conducted 3 webinars and a 2-day international web conference with almost 1,500 participants from 17 countries spanning over 4 continents of the globe. There are other webinars on the pipeline to be conducted by the different departments of the college. And this is possible only with the collaboration and the dedication of the faculty of the college. Team spirit and the attitude of yes, we can paid off during the different webinars and web conference conducted by the college. I wish this seminar on innovation and technology in education success and in the best way and contribute to the understanding of how we can use technology in our teaching learning process. The world is changing. However, people still teach and learn in a way that we invented in the Industrial Revolution. It doesn't work anymore. Innovation in education involves constant collaboration with colleagues. Innovation in education is about more than just technology. It's about how we can use technology to empower students to become lifelong learners who are the agents of change. Innovation in education encourages teachers and students to explore, research, and use all the tools to uncover something new. It involves a different way of looking at problems and solving them. The thinking process that goes into it will help students develop their creativity and their problem-solving skills. Innovation does not mean creating something from nothing. Innovation includes finding better ways of doing something and new ways to look at problems. This quote from poet William Butler Yeats is a fitting parallel for the role of innovation in education. Education should not be the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. As we take part in this webinar, may it help each one of us to be innovative in our teaching, learning post-COVID-19. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to all of you taking part in this webinar via Zoom or YouTube. I thank you for registering for this webinar. We have altogether 836 registration for this seminar from all the different parts, the states of India. And we also have some participants from Bhutan. As I conclude, I wish that this webinar help us to be guided to take education forward in spite of the lockdown and not being able to meet the students in the classroom. May we be agent of change to take forward education in the 21st century and thus contribute to nations building. Once again, a warm welcome, thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Father, for your insightful and encouraging message. You are our friend, philosopher, and guide. Your motivation and inspiration has always encouraged us to fulfill our mission. Your enthusiasm and efforts are really commendable. I now have the privilege of introducing our resource person, Dr. Geeta S. Shetty from the University of St. Xavier's University, Mumbai. Dr. Geeta S. Shetty is an associate professor in St. Xavier's Institute of Education, Mumbai. She has about 27 years of teaching experience at the B.Ed level, 9 years of teaching at the MA level. She is the recipient of the National Eminent Teacher Educator Award conferred by the Indian Association of Teacher Education. She is also the recipient of the Jamunabhai Govindji Madhavji Award for PhD degree in education conferred by the SNDT University. She has published 4 books. She is a resource person for UGC Academic Staff College, Mumbai University, SNDT University, engineering and medical colleges, B.Ed colleges, and schools. Her areas of expertise include customer orientation in education, transactional analysis skills, teaching learning strategies, team building, conflict management, creativity in education, entrepreneurship in education, English language development, micro teaching, holistic education, etc. So ma'am has got a very long, big profile. She has got so much in her achievements. So I have made, ma'am, please kindly pardon me because I have made a very brief profile of yours. So may I now invite ma'am Geeta to start with the first session. So ma'am, I cordially invite you. Our participants will be very happy to have you in our seminar, in our webinar. So kindly take over and start with the first session.
Yes. Okay, audible? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, audible.
Yes, no? Okay, so thank you very much for the introduction and a very enlightening introductory speech by Father, the principal. And I really at the outset would like to thank you for inviting me for a session webinar to the Seven Sisters. Actually, I would have loved to be there and actually give a session. However, it's not really possible or feasible now that this has become a new normal. Anyway, since we are all in the same fraternity and in the same community, we would like to share what we know about teaching online. And now with the new education policy, we ought to know not just about technology, but how we can use technology, harness technology to see that we teach effectively. Because both have to, there should be a marriage of the two, technology and pedagogy. We cannot have one divorced from the other. If that happens, if there is no contact or no connection between the two, then teaching learning does not become meaningful. So therefore, today's session would be on virtual education. I'll be doing on virtual education. However, my slant would be how to make teaching effective even through virtual teaching learning. Okay, so that would be my slant today. And with this introduction, I shall go on to share my screen. Is that okay, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Fine.
Is this visible?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So we'll start now. All right. Now, virtual education, making it a real success. Now, this is what we are going to do today. This is our topic. All right. Now, in this, now what my objectives would be. So now we'll begin with the session. Okay. The objectives of my today's webinar or the session would be understanding the requisites of virtual learning, what all we really need to know and possess in order to do virtual learning. And then the second one is effective implementation of virtual learning. It is not enough to understand what is required for virtual learning, but we also ought to know how to implement it in a better manner. Okay, so we'll be doing both these aspects. Now let's see. Now this is the journey of our teaching learning process. Now what do we do and how do we go about this teaching learning? Usually what we do is we teach, expecting that the students would have learned. And then after that, in order to check whether the students have learned, what we do is we do an evaluation. All right. So this is the general trend. We usually go from teaching to learning, from learning to evaluation. However, now today I'm going to do a lot of reversals. You know, we have already always followed this pattern. That is why what is happening is we teach in a particular manner, the students learn in a particular manner, but our evaluation is totally done in a different manner. In general, I'm not talking virtual education only here. In general, this is the pattern that we follow. Therefore, now that we're stepping into virtual education, what we need to do is think from evaluation, go the reverse direction. Okay, how am I going to evaluate my students? That I should know first. What am I going to evaluate and how am I going to evaluate? Because that will help me to know what I expect my students to learn. And when I know what to expect my students to learn, in that manner, I shall teach. Therefore, what will guide my teaching is the evaluation process. All right. So first, instead of going from teaching learning to evaluation, we reverse the order because I want to make my teaching more effective. Therefore, we start with what I want to evaluate, how I want to evaluate. Therefore, what I want to evaluate, I want my students to learn. Accordingly, what I want my students to learn and how I want them to learn, I shall teach. So this is how we follow. And this would make it even more concrete and focused. All right. So let our teaching be more concrete and focused. So with this, let's see the triangulation of education. Now, what are the three important aspects of teaching learning? One is we need to have objectives. We have to follow objectives while teaching. Okay, I need to know what I'm teaching and why I'm teaching that. Okay, fine. Then there is evaluation and assessment and learning experiences. These are the three cornerstones of teaching learning. All right. So we have learning experiences and evaluation. Now we said we start from evaluation. Okay. So we start from evaluation. Based on evaluation, learning experiences. But my evaluation should be based on what objectives I have in mind while teaching whatever. Now today, what I'm giving, this session that I'm giving, I already stated beforehand what my objectives are. So what happens when I know already what my objectives are, I'm able to provide the learning experiences accordingly. And finally, what I want you to go take, what is the takeaway from this session? All right. So what we see is instructional objectives and evaluation, they match. There is a connect between evaluation and instructional objectives. There is a connect between objectives and learning experiences. So what is the soul of any teaching learning process are the objectives. Our evaluation is based on those objectives. Are my objectives lower level objectives or higher order objectives? So accordingly, I will accordingly teach. All right. So first is the connect between instruction objectives and evaluation assessment, connection between instruction objectives and learning experiences, and then definitely there is a connect between learning experiences and evaluation and assessment. So what we see is the three cornerstones. There is a reciprocal relationship between the three aspects, and it ought to be there. They cannot be separate from each other. They cannot be divorced from each other. Now, it so happens, I would like to share an anecdote here. This I read, and this is a true life incident, and this I read in the Times of India Speaking Tree. Okay, this had come in the Speaking Tree, and in that you must listen to this. It was an eye opener for me too as a teacher. Now, what happened was there was this athlete. He used to always come first in any race. Okay, and a world famous, world renowned athlete from India. All right. So one of the photographers one day, or journalist one day, he asked him, "Sir, how is it that you always come first in any race?" So he said, "You know what, look, I cannot tolerate anybody running next to me. Whenever I see anybody running next to me, I feel I should outbeat that person and run faster and reach ahead." Okay. So till then I was fine with this. I said, very good, very nice, very good. Okay, very enlightening. However, let's listen to the incident further. What happened was one day our great athlete was at a marketplace, and there a pickpocketer picked his pocket or his wallet, and the pickpocketer ran. Now our athlete also ran behind the pickpocketer. However, what happened? There was a point, the pickpocketer was running, our athlete also was running, but our athlete ran and he ran and he kept on running and running and running. Why? What happened was there was a point in time when the athlete and a pickpocketer were running next to each other. But what is my thinking? The athlete said, I can never tolerate anybody running next to me, so I run faster. So when he saw the athlete saw the pickpocketer running next to me, I need to run faster, and he ran. Now I started laughing and I said, what kind of a person is this? You ran for your wallet and now you're running without it ahead. But the next statement actually was a real eye-opener for me. Now, what was the statement? Or a question rather, rhetoric question. Are we sometimes like this athlete? That we forget why we have begun the race and continue to do what we think we are good at. Okay, we forget why we have begun the race and continue to do what we think we are good at. Now there, if you see, it was a big eye-opener for me where it said that, look, you may think many things, but why have you come into this profession? What are your objectives as a teacher or as a teacher educator? And therefore, never lose sight of what you wish to expect or teach. Okay, so that is the importance of objectives. All right, because that will guide my teaching learning experiences as well as my assessment. So then, therefore, what happens? These two will be in sync. Learning experiences and evaluation will be in sync. So when we say instructional objectives are the crux of entire teaching learning process, then what we shall do is, let's see these instructional objectives. Okay, so what are the instructional objectives? Here I will take some time in order to explain it little clearly. Of course, if people are from teacher education, they would know. However, nothing wrong in just brushing ourselves up again. All right. Now, the basis of any teaching learning is the first one, that is remember. All right. When I teach, I make my students remember certain things. Okay. My objective is that they should remember. Remember is like from the top of the head, I ask, okay, what is your name? Where is India on the globe? What is the capital of India? No, these are things that I want the child to remember. Okay, and the child will remember. For example, if I'm teaching water cycle, I want my child to know what are the water bodies. Okay, the child will remember. All right, so these are all the things. Now, definition of evaporation, definition of precipitation, condensation, all these things a child will remember. Okay, fine. But I don't want my students to just remember, be at the level of remember, because that's the base level objective. Though necessary, absolutely essential. However, it is just the base. And if I leave my teaching learning only for remember, then I'm not doing any service. Rather, I'm doing disservice to education. Okay, so we go on to the next one. The next one, I need to take my students to the next level, that is understand. Not just memorize, but they should know only after understanding. They should be able to explain the cause and effect. Okay, they're able to explain, they're able to describe, they're able to analyze, compare. Okay, so that is understanding. All right, so this much is done. They're able to give reasons. Fine. So that is understand. And then the next one is apply. Now, I have taught them some formulae, and I want them to apply. I have taught them chemical equations, balancing equations. I want them to apply. I've taught them grammar rules. I want them to apply in another situation. Okay, fine. So this much, what we have seen is that remember, understand, apply is usually also evaluated. Okay, I teach them for that, and this is usually apply also very less. However, these three are done in our examination system. But what is sadly given lesser priority is the next three levels of objectives, which are absolutely essential to create truly knowledgeable and wise citizens. Okay, I'm saying citizens and knowledgeable and wise, the next three, which we have sadly not given that much of importance. Now, what are they? Okay, that is analyze. In my classroom or even beyond, even in my assignments, I need to make students analyze or to find out, why certain things are happening in general. Okay, analyze. Now, for example, if I'm teaching about rulers, now, do we need a ruler like this person in today's times? Okay, I'm not saying which ruler, but do we need such a person in today's time? So what am I doing? I'm making the child analyze that person's qualities and see whether that person is fit to be a ruler today. Economic depression, what happened then? Is it the same as it is happening now? All right, how would you compare the two? So what is happening again? Analyze. All right, rather than leaving it there. Fine. Now, this is what is taking them little beyond. All right. Analyze racism in a particular country and some kind of racism even in our country. Is it there? All right. So having that kind of discussion, that is analyze, where the child is not simply remember, understanding, applying, but also taking it to the next level. That is analyze. All right. And even better, I'm not saying better in the sense, if you see any objective you take, it takes the preceding objectives also. It's not just there. Whatever higher objective you take, it is taking in all of these. Okay, now evaluate. This is an excellent objective, but not really fulfilled much. Now, what is the meaning of evaluate? Evaluate means not I evaluating. I am making students evaluate. I'm putting them as evaluators. Now, this something very hilarious happened. Now, my students, usually students, they ask for notes. Okay, so fine, I said, okay, fine, I'll give you the synopsis. All right, so synopsis was given. I had given them some handouts. Then I said, you have to give me marks on this handout. All right, marks on this handout, you all have to give me out of 10, how much would you score for this handout? And with reasons, not simply just. So therefore, deliberately, I had missed out sections. I had not included certain things, and I had told them where all they can refer in order to see whether my article or my synopsis is complete or not. Okay, so what happened is, in the process of evaluation, what happened was the students remembered, understood, they applied, they analyzed my matter with reference to some other matter, and then they came up with an evaluation. They told me how many marks that answer deserved. And they also learned that if they give only such an answer, how many marks to expect even during exams. Okay, so evaluate is that. Sometimes certain assignments, okay, now students have this habit of copy paste, etc., etc. So what I did, I mean, what we usually do in our college also, we give them 3 URLs, okay, sites. And we say, compare these 3 sites and evaluate and tell which of these, what rank would you give these 3? Which one would you rate as first, second, or third with reasons? So this kind of an assignment, what happens? They cannot copy paste. They cannot copy paste. What they're doing is they're evaluating each URL. Okay, so that is what, putting students in the role of evaluators. And the best is create. Now in create, see, God created the world from chaos. Okay, he created order from chaos. And God, it is said, he made us in the likeness of his image. So if he is the creator, he also expects us to be creators. All right, but we are more of destroyers. Sorry to say this, but this is off the track. However, we are supposed to be creators. All right, but where is the opportunity for our students to create something, to make something? So therefore, this has been, it's a tipping point. It is something, it is at the tip of this entire pyramid. All right, it is something that is absolutely essential. We have to lead our students from this lowermost, that is remember, to create. However, that's not happening. But now I told you, I'm going to give you a lot of reversals. What we're going to do now is, and what is expected now is, since create is not happening, why don't we reverse the whole thing? Now, can you see the pyramid? The pyramid is exactly tilt. It is exactly ulta. Okay, it's come upside down. Now, if you see here, the word create, the objective create is down, which means you begin with it. Never mind if you have not taught, never mind if they do not have any background knowledge, never mind. You see, you give them, it's not that students are blank slates. They have knowledge. It's only not put in proper perspective. So why not me know what do they know already? Okay, and accordingly you build something. Of course, give something such that they are not put off also. All right, now create something, make something. It could be a concept map, it could be a model, it could be a write-up, it could be a story, a script, a drama script. They have to create something. All right, now when they create, then they will evaluate that whatever they have done, each other's work, and then analyze. Now, when I create, already these things are happening. All right. After create, from create, the teacher will take over and then make them go through all the other objectives after they have created. Now, when just imagine an inverted pyramid. Will it be able to stand? What is the problem with an inverted pyramid? It cannot balance itself. There will be disequilibrium. Okay, and that is what we have to see, that our students get disequilibrium. Because enough of stability, enough of comfort zone, okay, enough of all that. You find students just sitting back passive and doing nothing. Okay, fine, create the disequilibrium, create the chaos so that there is order. All right, so first only put them in that discomfort, create chaos, create dissonance. All right, because only when there is dissonance, I know that when we are South Indians, so I used to pronounce C-U-R-E as cure, P-U-R-E as pure. All right, because my dad used to pronounce that way. So I thought he's always right. But then there was this English teacher who said, it is pure. It is pure. There was dissonance. How can my dad be wrong? Dissonance. But because of that, I still remember this. All right. So it is dissonance that will make me remember. It is this discomfort, this disturbance that will lead to sense. Okay. So let us not shy away from, even during online teaching, let us make them create something, give them material from which they can create a concept map. So they can create something, write a letter or something they create out of it. Okay. And then in your lecture, take them to the other phases. This will help us teach them in a proper manner. Okay, fine. So what are the different strategies that we can use? Now see this one, flipped classroom technique. Now flip is the same thing. It is reversing the order. Otherwise we teach, learn, and then evaluate and give them assignments. Fine. First, what you flip it. You first give assignment. Give them some work to create, to do on their own. Do on your own. And even if you're wrong, I'm happy. No problem. Because I'm here, we will together put things in perspective. Okay, so it is reverse the order. The next one is constructivist approach, where we make students build something. You know, in medical college, the professor came to class and said, I want you all, I'm giving you one problem, and your assignment is to, in group assignment that was, to create a project on that. Now, what was the assignment? Listen to this. Person so-and-so is suffering from headache. Suggest medication. He said, such a simple thing. Person so-and-so suffering from headache, suggest medication. So easy. But when they started working on that, they realized it was definitely not easy, because the headache could be due to so many different causes, different reasons. It went on into a volume. So many pages it went on to. So this is constructivist. I'm not going to tell you medication. You find out the causes, suggest, because each cause will have its own medication. This is constructivist approach. Rather than me telling you, you create knowledge, and never know, they could come up with something what has not yet been established on earth. Never know. Okay. And the third thing, which actually a lot of research is going on now, is brain-based learning, where you develop neural networks. Now here I'm taking you into the brain. Okay, what is brain-based learning? Let us understand this, because this is the crux of all the other strategies. This is something that will make us better teachers, and this is something that will make our learners learn anything under the sun. Let me tell you, nothing is difficult, nothing is impossible. Anybody can learn anything under the sun at any age, at any age. We will never have Alzheimer's if we know this concept. Yes, I'm telling you this. So let's learn about what is brain-based learning. Brain-based learning, this is our brain. And we all know that our brain is made up of a lot of nerves. All right, so many nerves together, millions of nerve cells or neurons together make up the brain. A lot of information is passed from one end to the other because of these nerves. Fine, this much is common knowledge. But what we are probably aware of, but not even thinking about its implications, is this: neuroplasticity. It is this, that our nerves are absolutely flexible, and you may have seen in your daily life also. Suppose you're walking on a road and the road is closed. Immediately you think of alternate measures. This is plasticity, flexibility. Okay. Now see, we cannot do offline teaching. We cannot be there everywhere. So immediately the brain thought of different strategies. All right. So much so that now we are exploring different ways in which we can teach, different ways of doing PowerPoint, different ways of, building up storyboards, etc. So what is this? Neuroplasticity. Our brain has immense capacity to adjust and accommodate to any situation. So let us do not get scared of giving students to create something, because that will increase neuroplasticity. They can form something. They can be flexible. Look at our own mothers. Even now, some of the homemakers. I want my child to get the best of nourishment, but the child doesn't like to eat the leafy vegetables. So disguise it. Give it in a different form. That is neuroplasticity. Okay, so creative minds have lot of neuroplasticity. So rather, I would say, let us work on this neuroplasticity. You know, at interviews also, there are people who will just say, like for example, there was this an interview for an IPS officer, no, a police inspector's job. Okay, so many had come. What was the interview like? They had taken them to an edge of a balcony building, okay, 10th floor. And each candidate was taken, and then they told him, jump. All right, 10th floor balcony, and then they told them, jump. All of them got scared. Most of them got scared. One fellow, what he did, he went, they took him there, he stood there, and then they said, jump. Well, he jumped, but there only, at his place, wherever he was standing. Okay, they didn't say jump down. They said jump. Okay, this is neuroplasticity, that kind of alertness, that given a situation, how do I adjust? That is neuroplasticity, and everybody is capable of this. And the other one is neurogenesis. This is the good news for every individual on earth, that nerves can be generated. If anybody says, I'm not good at mathematics, I'm not good at anything, that's a lie that they're saying. Anybody can learn anything under the sun. You can create new neural networks. Yes, we have to just take some effort, the neural networks will be produced. Okay, so how do we do that? Through creation. All right, so these are the two important concepts in brain-based learning. You can read up on this. It's really very interesting to understand. Okay, fine. So now what we are seeing is, what are the common elements in progressive pedagogy? We are saying progressive. Progressive doesn't mean that throw away the old. No, it's not about throwing away the old. It is about how to keep the old and how to merge the old with the new. Okay, take the best of the old and the best of the new and merge together. Okay, so what is it? It's very challenging. Progressive pedagogy is challenging. It's creative. It's experiential, providing students with a lot of experiences. Okay, since they're creating, so it's a lot of experiences being provided. Critiquing and patterning. Okay, finding out a pattern in certain situations. All right, this is happening, this is happening. So what is the pattern that you're seeing? All right, so critiquing it, asking why, analyzing, evaluating. That is new pedagogy. Actually, it is nothing new. If you see our Gurukula system and earlier forms of education, all of them practiced this. So what we are saying progressive is, we have actually regressed, and that is why now we are going back to the old and bringing it back. That is needed. All right. It is stress-free, no tension, actually, because it's okay if I'm wrong. That's what my teachers tell me. It's okay if I'm wrong. Okay. Social learning, working with each other, working together. That is social learning. Connects indoor and outdoor spaces, which means I will learn about my locality. I will learn about India. I will learn within India, whatever is happening. And I'll also bring in what is happening in the globe, outside India. Okay. So indoor spaces and outdoor spaces, whatever is happening outside, I get into my classroom situation. So it's so good if you bring in case studies, if you bring in outside information, global perspectives are developed. Okay. Now, this is more important, connecting inner and outer spaces. That is my space, my psychological space. And I'm really hoping and praying that I'm connecting with the 800 odd people who are there listening to me. And how do you connect? Actually, thoughts travel faster than words. And I mean well for you. And I mean, we are all one. Okay, so we connect the inner and the outer spaces. Okay? And that is needed. And global perspectives. Okay, so these are all the important things in online learning or any progressive pedagogy. Now, there are 4 quadrants in virtual education. All right, these 4 quadrants are very important. Now, we will see how these 4 quadrants are to be understood. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll do each one in greater detail. All right, so let's see each quadrant. Now, quadrant 1. Okay. Please note, now I'm getting into how to teach on online platforms. Okay. Now, how do we teach on online platforms? First and foremost, first quadrant is tutorial. Firstly, I'm telling you that these quadrants are there, quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. I can decide which one I want to do first. Okay. I'll first do this 4 quadrants and we'll see which one we can do first. All right. Quadrant 1 is tutorial. Tutorial means first and immediately I cannot start teaching with whatever I have to teach or give them material. Tutorial is they need guidance. They need guidance of what you're going to do, a kind of orientation of what you're going to do and how you're going to progress, and a kind of breakup of the entire topic. All right. So this is video, audio content is given in an organized form. You can have animations, you can have simulations, virtual labs, etc. So it's a tutorial given to students on what is to be done and how it will be done. Okay, a little bit of information is also given. Now, this step I feel is absolutely important because we cannot just drag students into something that they are very unsure of. Okay, we always have a kind of introduction, a proper tutorial for online teaching learning. All right, so you can have these tutorials for them. Now, second quadrant is the proper e-content. Now, e-content I can give them in the form of videos, audios that they can listen on their own, they can follow on their own. That is the resources. Okay, so these resources, but they're carefully designed, not just downloaded from the net, and no, they have to be carefully designed. Okay, because now the student will go through self-learning. All right, so resources we give. Textual document, PDF, ebooks, illustrations, video demonstrations, etc., creative or interactive simulations, all these. So you provide all kinds of resources. Self-made videos, all right? You provide them with all these resources. Now look at the third quadrant, is discussion. You gave the tutorials, quadrant 1. You gave the resources, quadrant 2. They have gone through the resources based on your tutorial, how to go about all that you've done. Fine. But it is not that they have understood everything. It may not be that they have understood everything. So we go on to quadrant 3 or discussion, where we have interactions. All right. Now, this interactions could be online, it could be direct live sessions, or it could be through chats, or it could be through discussion forums. All right. So we need to have discussion. Now, you can decide what you want to do first. All right. Quadrant 4 is assessment. Assessment is done in the form of quizzes or evaluation assignments, etc., etc. So you can do it this way also. Can I begin with quadrant? This is testing. Okay, because I want to know, I'll give them MCQs, I'll give them case studies, I can give them problems, I can give them quizzes, assignments, etc. But my question to you is, can I, and I'm not expecting your answer, don't unmute yourself. Can I always begin also from quadrant 4? Can I test them first? And I'm telling you, it may be probably necessary also. I can test them first, know how much they know or do not know, then go on for tutorials and see the way it shapes, how assessment shapes my teaching learning. Okay, know how much they know, how much they need to know, etc., etc. Then go to quadrant 1, have my tutorials, and then give them resources. Okay, and they say, now you work on these resources. I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to those resources. Then we will have a discussion, again a testing, to check whether I have followed that procedure properly. So I feel, this is my personal opinion, that beginning with testing would be better deal for online teaching learning. So begin with testing, then follow the procedures. Okay, so this is one thing. Now, there is another thing, I would call it a pentagon, which is essential for this quadrant, and that is nothing but reflection. All these procedures are fine. Sometimes the teacher was uncomfortable. Sometimes the students were uncomfortable. We are assuming that they will learn everything. We are assuming that they're comfortable with this. I know of so many students who have problems. They are only on their mobile. They do not have connectivity. How are they going to learn? All right. Or whatever they have learned, how they feel about it, their discomfort or whatever. So reflection is absolutely essential. After going through the 4 quadrants, what is my reflection as a teacher? What did I feel? What was I comfortable with, not comfortable with? Where did I achieve my objectives? And reflection by students also. Make it mandatory. Let there be one liner or at least 2 sentences about what they felt, what their experiences were after that topic done, after the 4 quadrants were done. Therefore, I have put this a kite here. The picture image is that of a kite with a tail. Okay, and it's a tail that makes it more beautiful and meaningful and makes it fly higher also. All right, so that is reflection. Right, you know why? Because creation is reflection. You want students to create, that will not happen if they do not reflect. All right, so creation is possible because of reflection. All right, so now I hope now what we have done is we have seen the requisites. We know now or what all is required in order to teach all the objectives, invert the objectives, start from create, and therefore all the flipped classroom, then the constructivist approach and the brain-based learning. Please read up on brain-based learning. It's going to be really interesting and will help the future generations also. Then we went on to see the 4 quadrants and how we can apply all of that in the 4 quadrants, okay, and the importance of reflection. So with all this, I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you so much. Much time, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Now, could we have a question and answer session?
Yes, ma'am, it is there. So education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. So thank you, ma'am, for your powerful and insightful session. We are grateful for the time and effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences. So let us entertain 2 to 3 questions. They have already given in the chat box, ma'am. Ma'am, are you ready?
Yes,
They want to
ma'am.
ask you 2 or 3 questions. Because of the paucity of time, we'll take only
I
2
know,
to 3 questions, ma'am.
No problem.
So the first question is by Dr. Mrigank Chakrabarti. He has asked about a question on, let me repeat the question, ma'am. What are the best ways to generate resources by which technology-based teaching learning process can reach the widest beneficiaries?
Yes.
Should I repeat it again, ma'am?
No, I see. I'll repeat it and see if I've got it correct. That
Okay.
how do we prepare resources in a manner that it becomes very effective? Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Yes. Now, see.
Yes.
May I tell you this, that there are a lot of resources available online. Lot of resources, but those resources may not be tailor-made for my students. All right. So therefore, it is always best that I make the resources and develop them for my students, because I know where they stand, how they are, how they would learn. I know them. Okay. So it is always best that I prepare the resources for them. Now, how do I prepare these resources? I would tell you, please explore the internet. Now, this exploration of internet, from my personal experience, I'll tell you, I started doing after going online like this, and then I found there are so many resources with the help of which, and they are very user friendly, with the help of which we can create short videos. We can create storyboards. There is a storyboard.com. It's so wonderful. We can create storyboards, we can create live sessions, live video recordings, etc. for our students. So we can prepare the resources. Also, I can prepare puzzles. I can prepare blank concept maps with just the headings and ask them to fill it. So best is, sir, if I'm answering, sir, that we prepare our resources, because resources have to be context based. And context, by the way, what I mean is my student, the area that they are located, it should be useful for them. And also, one more thing is get global information also. Don't restrict only to the local information. Okay, now from there, let them read a little bit about what is happening in the global arena also. So bring in that also. So I make my resources in that manner such that global issues are also incorporated. Okay, and the wordings, the language, the vocabulary, etc., all that is suitable to my learners. All right, so this way we can take care of the resources.
Thank you, ma'am, for the apt answer that you have given. Now, our next question is by Marina Barsaikia. She has asked a question on how to create an innovative process in teaching learning after this pandemic situation.
After the pandemic, that means after lockdown?
Yes, after the
Is it
pandemic situation. That means when the pandemic ends, after
post?
that, I think.
Okay. See,
Yes.
now let me tell you, these 4 quadrants that I told you is not just for virtual learning. Although these 4 quadrants are how you should have online learning using these 4 quadrants, etc., etc. If you see self-instruction, how to follow, etc., etc. Now, I would suggest and I would say that 4 quadrants should be followed even in our regular teaching learning, accompanied by reflection. Again, let me take you to the inverted pyramid. Therein, even after the pandemic is over, I will not go to class and say, okay, students, I'm going to teach you this. Go to the blackboard, go to my PowerPoint presentation, conduct the lecture and come out, leaving them to whatever they are. The backbenchers do what they want to do. There are some of them who pretend to pay attention, but they do not pay attention. No. You know, very often I'm a teacher educator, we go to observe lessons. I always sit, I take the last bench. Okay. And I always see those children sitting on the last bench. Now, this is a Mumbai, I'm talking about our place. Okay. These children are very smart. See, Charles Darwin's theory of evolution is going on. And every generation is born smarter than the previous generation, every generation. So, but we are still teaching them in the way we were taught. So how would they feel? Therefore, it is always nice. They're so intelligent, but they don't like our classroom situation, the way we teach. So what we need to do is, okay, fine. You don't want me to teach, I will not. But I will come to class. You have to create something. Okay, you have to make something. I'll give you the topics, I'll give you the information, I'll give you the reference material, whatever you wish to. From this, you create something and come back to class. And you share your insights. From there, I'll take off and I'll teach you. And I'll put things in perspective. Actually, that needs to be followed. That should be the procedure to be followed, whether there is a pandemic or no pandemic. This is how we need to teach. Because brain neurogenesis and neuroplasticity will happen only then. We have been used to sitting in that comfort zone, no? Create discomfort. And this discomfort is so nice. Teacher doesn't mind even if we are wrong. You know, teacher is okay even with our wrong analysis. All right, this is the one.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for the wonderful answer that you have given. Now we'll entertain one more question for you, ma'am. That is by Dr. K.K. Padampale. He has asked about how to create neuroplasticity in inclusive education.
Oh,
how to create neuroplasticity in inclusive education.
In inclusive education, wonderful. See, first and foremost, there needs to be neuroplasticity in the teachers of practicing inclusive education. The thing is that I cannot go with a fixed mind and say this is this disability or this is a problem, and therefore for this problem this is the only solution. Even if you're saying autism, there is a spectrum. There are people with different levels or different kinds of it. Okay, I always feel that neurogenesis and neuroplasticity can happen with any child. Anybody can learn the way they wish they can learn. Problem, even the custodial mentally challenged child can learn. The problem is we are incapable of creating that kind of teaching learning situations for them. Our research is still not reached that level where we can make them productive. I'm telling you, this is possible. People have not explored enough. It is possible, sir or ma'am. We need, first and foremost, let me try out different techniques, okay? Giving various experiences, see, experiential learning. These children, depending upon the level of disability or problems that they are having, they are differently abled. See what they are able to do. From there, provide experiences such that they can generate newer neurons. Probably, I'm just saying probably, if the research really works and people really do more research on this, I feel these children also can be, the cases which are like custodial, etc., they also can be productive citizens. but not much work has been done. Please read up on brain-based learning. You will see the wonders that are there and our brain is capable of. I hope I've answered that.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your stimulating answer. Ma'am, now since you are outside the Northeast and you have never visited the Northeast, so after the pandemic ends, I welcome both the resource persons to visit the Northeast, which is a very beautiful part of India and which is ethnically and culturally very distinct from the rest of the country. So I invite both of you to visit the Northeast. Now we have met each other virtually so that we can meet one another in the in our own state.
Definitely,
and
all
Meghalaya
the
is
best.
a beautiful state. Meghalaya
Yes, I
is a
know.
beautiful state, ma'am. So both of you should visit Meghalaya.
Actually, our lectures have begun, and I agreed because you belong to a beautiful place. That is why I said, if I cannot be there, at least let me go there virtually.
I know, ma'am.
Really,
thank you,
I
ma'am,
love
for
you
all the help and support that you have given us.
Thank
so
you.
I think now, Ma'am Geeta, we thank you wholeheartedly for helping us and to be here with us today in this webinar. And now I would invite our second speaker or the second resource person, Dr. Manju Gupta from the from Meerut College. And Dr. Manju Gupta is also an associate professor from the Department of Education, Meerut College. She has about 22 years of teaching experience. She has guided around 17 PhD scholars and 79 dissertations at the MEd level. She has organized 6 international conferences in India and abroad. She is the recipient of 2 gold medals, that is at the MEd level and at the MPhil level. So, ma'am, I welcome you now. It is my privilege to welcome you to the second session of this webinar.
Thank you so much.
Take over and start with the session.
Yes, thank you so much. And first thing, you have motivated us to come to Meghalaya. I have visited, say, around 29 countries. I have visited so many states, but Meghalaya is untouched yet. So we'll certainly make it, and we'll certainly come to visit Meghalaya because I have heard so much, the beautiful scenery, beauty there.
Beautiful, it is indeed very beautiful Meghalaya is. So we do invite you, ma'am, to visit the Northeast.
Thank you so much. So, Dr. Geeta has told so much about the instructional objectives, and, we should be aware of what our students, where do our students stand and what they do need. This is the priority of the teachers. So I will not take much time in giving an introductory part because she has told so much about the beginning of how to explore the resources and how to construct them according to our learners and then to disseminate among them. So I just come to my presentation that is, I'm just sharing. Can I share my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I'm taking innovation in teaching and learning during COVID-19 pandemic, right? So let me just begin with just a sec, please. Yes, friends. So I'm just taking about the innovation in teaching, why it is required during COVID-19 pandemic. So I just go with that slides. We need to change our educational approaches because this is mandatory during this COVID-19 pandemic. The outbreak of COVID-19 and lockdown 1, 2, 3, 4. So because they have been taken as the preventive measures and they have become the cause of chaos and total disruption in the month of March. And it created disruption in social, economic, education sectors. The entire education system has derailed from completion of the courses, completion of the exam examination, and even the conducting of the competitive exam. So there is altogether there was chaos in the month of March, in April, and somehow we could manage with the while it came to May and June and July as well. So while governments and health departments are doing their best slowing down the outbreak, global education systems are collaborating to collectively respond and provide quality education for all during this difficult time. Colleges and universities are getting creative with online options to keep students safe and healthy at home. We cannot take risks to invite them to the colleges or the schools or the universities. So we are taking the measures to provide them the online education. Government, teachers, and the parents are coming together to try and ensure that learning continues. The parents are not willing, like, it should be stopped. So we are putting our efforts to change our approaches in education. Now I come to the decision of MHRD and UGCs and other apex bodies. What line of action should be taken during this COVID to education go? So the first and foremost is the safety measures against the COVID-19, like use of masks, social distancing, washing hands, sanitization, and mandatory downloads of Arogya Setu app and etc. So teachers will train, they should communicate it to their learners. It should reach to all the students, even in the society, that everybody should measure the safety measures, right? And second thing is to bring education system in rhythm at all levels, made be the primary or secondary or higher level. And the third line of action is technology has become the savior at this point of time. It stepped into our education system as the main supporting tool for online classes, online administration, and online assessment of the learners at all the levels. MHRD, Government of India, and UGC has took immediate action and circulated the directions for the Department of Education at state levels, at district levels, and at the university levels, and at primary, secondary, and higher education to go for online education. So when these directives were coming to us in our universities and colleges, so teachers were in their comfort zone, altogether. So it was a sudden shock for the teachers to fight against the coronavirus on one hand, and to fight with the digital illiteracy on the other hand. So it was a biggest challenge before the teachers. Teachers were supposed to aware their students, I told you earlier, for the safety measures. So some in the beginning of their lectures, they were supposed to give the guidelines for their students to keep themselves safe and healthy. Teachers need to be counselors at this point of time when they were asked to stay at home, put that social distancing. So students and even their parents and even the communities were in a distrust and distress, and what should do. So teachers were supposed to be the counselors at this point of time, and to give them the healing touch, to provide them the information regarding their completion of the courses, to provide them, whether the exams will be taken, completed, or they will be promoted for the next class. Teachers were to assure them that darkness due to COVID-19 will go away with the sunrise of the hopes and opportunities very soon. And we are doing constantly and convincing our students that this COVID pandemic time will go very soon. So here, I just come, the main challenge before the teachers was to fill the digital gap. As you know, we are three types of person. The first one is the digital immigrants, digital natives, and digital dinosaurs. So we teachers belong to the generation X. It is, the teachers who were taken birth from 1960 to 80. So those who are teaching in the colleges or the schools at primary, secondary, or the higher level. So we are all supposed to be the digital immigrants who have acquired digital technology as an adult. right? But our children belongs to generation Z, those who are in present time, and they've been called as the digital natives. They have grown up in this digital age. The teachers, those who are the digital immigrants, they prefer slow and controlled release of information content. But our students, they prefer to receive information quickly from multimedia at one click. So see the change, between these two generations, Generation X and Generation Z. Teachers, they prefer to provide knowledge through lectures, textual material, pics, audio or video. But our students, they prefer multitasking. A teacher can show the video, can narrate the things, explain the things. So they prefer these things from us. And then, we prefer to teach just in case. Suppose it happens, just in case. But our students are very smart. As Dr. Geeta told us, that the generation is getting smarter, So they prefer to learn just in time. What is required? What is most needed, what is current demand. So just teachers concentrate on just in case, but our students concentrate on just in time. And teachers prefer to teach as per syllabus and the curriculum prescribed to them, but students do not prefer that. They prefer to learn that is relevant, that is instantly useful and fun, and it has some employability for them. And teachers, teaching is goal oriented. They want to reach the goal. They have to complete that particular, they have to finish with those objectives. But the students, they want to learn which is value oriented. We are goal oriented, but they are value oriented, whether it is adding some value or it is not. The teachers, they deferred gratification and award. इनको एक हफ्ते बाद मिल जाएगा reward, or they may get it later on. But students prefer to get the gratification and reward, instant reward. They want instant appreciation. They want instant feedback. So there's a big gap between these two generations, digital immigrants and digital natives. So now there's a upcoming of the generation Y that is accommodated. That is the teachers who are new, those who were taken birth in 1980 to 2000, and they are well equipped with those digital technology, and they are very much familiar with the need of the present learners. So the biggest challenge before the senior teacher says that they are not very good in technology, or they're not very acquainted with those technological skills. So it was the biggest challenge before them, how to cope up with that online classes, right? And next challenge for the teachers was to teach inclusive classes online. When you are offline, you can empathize with the learners. You can sense, what the problem individual learner is facing. And, you can just read their faces, read their personalities, read their, just explore their needs. But once you are online teaching those onlines, these students are from linguistically different classes. Some are well acquainted with the Hindi language, some are good in English. But when you are giving an online classes, you are showing your video, it can be given in Hindi or English, or it can be mixed, but there can be, little gap, whether the students are able to learn those things or not. The second barrier is they are coming from different social backgrounds. The third barrier before the teacher says they are coming from different cultures. And the the fourth barrier is they are cognitively different, individually different. So once you are taking offline classes or the traditional classes, you can sense each and every learner. But once you are giving it online, this is the biggest challenge. You cannot reach individually different child at their own pace, right? So the ideology, the one size fits all, here this theory fails, because one size doesn't fit to all of them. So the teacher has to be, after presenting the video or the audio, the teachers should have the individual discussions or the interaction with the learners to meet out this challenge. Now we come like how teachers can make online learning effective. This is the biggest question. How we can make it more effective? The first thing is we need to be good counselors, good engineers to craft the ship of wisdom, that is to create the e-content. As Dr. Geeta told us, there's lots of material there online on the website, but that cannot fix to our learners. So we have to very wisely, we have to choose the content for our learners as per their need, and we have to put it online for online learning. So the content already available cannot suffix to our learners to make them learn the content nicely, because we know where our students stand, what is their need. So as per their need and as per their requirement, the teacher should be a great engineer to craft that e-content and put it on for online learning. The next is the teacher need to follow TPAC model of online teaching learning. This TPAC model is very much required. Earlier we had the pedagogical knowledge and the content knowledge, and we used to teach in our traditional way of teaching learning. But now for the online learning, the teacher should have the TPAC model. This TPAC model means that the teacher should know the technological knowledge, ICT skill, what technologies are available, what websites are available, what tools are available. The teacher should be well acquainted to use it and to explore it, these technological equipments, and to use it in their teaching learning. The second is pedagogical knowledge. The teacher should, a good teacher is one who has that pedagogical knowledge. Because this pedagogy differs from subject to subject. For maths, we have the different pedagogy. For teaching English, we have the different pedagogy. For teaching social sciences, we have the different pedagogy. For teaching the science subject like biology, chemistry, physics, we have different pedagogies. So the teacher should be well acquainted with that pedagogical knowledge skills. And then is the content knowledge. Of course, without content, a teacher cannot teach. So the teacher must follow this TPAC model, technology, pedagogy, and the content knowledge. Then only he or she can survive and make the teaching learning more effective. The need of the hour is to use the multiple pedagogies together. As she told, about the flipped learning, the blended learning, the mobile learning, we should go for these innovative teaching learning methods to make our online teaching learning more effective and useful for the learners during this COVID-19 pandemic. Now we come to the modes of communication in online learning. See, there are generally two modes of communication. One is the synchronous, the other one is the asynchronous. So what this synchronous mode of learning is, it is online that happens with the real-time interaction, as we are doing. Like on the Zoom, we are meeting together, we are interacting together, we are giving the discussion, we can see each other, we can discuss after this lecture is over. So these are called the synchronous mode of learning. So here, real-time interaction can be have, and then this can we can use DTH, we can use Cisco WebEx, We can use Google Meet, we can use Skype, Jitsi Meet, Zoom, Zio Meet, Microsoft Teams, Facebook Live, YouTube Live. There's so many things we can use, and one by one and one time, and we can have that synchronous learning, right? It can be through internet interaction, it can be through discussion, and it can be through chat, right? And then we come to the asynchronous learning. Here it occurs through online channels without real-time interaction. For example, SMS can be sent, MMS can be sent, PDF can be uploaded, and we can use WhatsApp, Telegrams, email, or use of content on NROERs, National Repository of Open Educational Resources, and MOOCs, YouTube channels, Wikipedia, blogs. There's so many things we can use for asynchronous learning, correct? So teachers may suggest for the online library like Kodaganga. I think some people are interacting, can you mute them? Interaction, There's some disturbance. May I request the participant to mute themselves?
Dear participants, kindly mute yourself.
Okay.
Participants, kindly mute yourself.
No, ma'am. Yeah, tell her I can hear you.
So teachers may suggest for the online libraries, for the research scholars, those who are doing their dissertation in AMED or in other courses. So asynchronous learning may occur by consulting through the Shodh Ganga, Shodh Gangotri on InflipNet, NDLI. This is very helpful for the higher education. It has been very useful for the higher educational level. NDLI, that is the National Digital Library of India. Then there's Vidyanidhi, there's Kindle. So you can explore, you can learn from different resources in the asynchronous mode. And then teachers should be skilled to use the LMS, Learning Management System, OERs, MOOCs, SWAYAM, CMS, OLabs. Now OLabs have come in use, in secondary education and even in higher education. Thus the online laboratories been used in chemistry, physics, biology, and they've been told how to dissect, how to do this chemical analysis, and this has been used nowadays. And various portals and apps can be explored for making learners more equipped and skilled. Swayam Prabha, Moodles, blogs, ePathshala, Umang. There are so many portals which can be used for online learning. And beside that, for the assessment evaluation, for the secondary and the primary level, there's one portal that is Parak, and then there's NROERs, then there's the for the AMED students, there's a Nishtha for elementary teachers. These are some online portals and resources which can be used for online teaching and learning. Now we come to how to develop e-learning materials. This is very important because once we are not skilled to develop e-learning material, we cannot provide them the good resources. So it requires 5 steps. The first one is deciding. As she told, Dr. Geeta told, we should revert that triangle and we should decide from the creator. So, we have to just explore the needs of the learner, where do they stand and what do they need. So according to them, we have to decide our key ingredients, which can motivate us and which can be useful for engaging the student. Then is designing. Once we decide the content and the other things, then we design it. So designing means training of the teachers to transform learning experiences. How we can use our technological, pedagogical and content together, blend together to develop a resource, online resource. And quality e-content creation. So it may include text, it may include images, it may include audio clips, it may include videos, to be flexible and easy to use. And language, as is very important, and as we should follow that thing, because we at the high level we can mix up the language with the Hindi and English, or in the regional language. But for the primary level, it should be in their mother tongue, and the secondary they can use English and with their mother tongue. So we can plan our content or resources as per their language needs. Then is the developing. We decided, designed, and then we had to create the content and upload it on the new age platforms. What are these new age platforms? That is LMS, Learning Management System. There are some examples, like we can upload our online content on Google Classroom, Haiku Learning, that is the Power School Learning. The modals are there, the blackboards are there, Canvas, Schoology, Bright Space, Sakai, Academy, Brain Honey, Chalk Table, and Concourse, EduTrust, eGenio. There are so many new age platforms on which we can upload our content, and we can teach through these platforms. Now comes the delivering. This is again very important, the instructions, the information, because whatever the content you upload on those platforms, you should inform your learners, equip them how to explore that platform and how can they use it, then deliver it. So it should be visible to the target groups and reach them online easily for learning and assessment. It should be simple and easy to access, and so that learners do not exhausted in switching the tabs or the platforms. So before we deliver or upload this content on those platforms, we should make them equipped how to explore on that platforms, or how can they switch to those tabs, right? And then comes the developing knowledge and 21st century skills. Now, as our even new education policy says, we don't have to fill the content in their brain. We need not to just, we don't have only to master their brain. We have to train their heart and soul also. We have to develop the 21st century skills among our learners. We have to make them employable. We have to make them job ready. So, besides developing the content, we have to develop some life skills, teaching skills among these learners. So what are these 21st century skills? These have been classified into 3 categories. The first one is the learning skills, the second is the literacy skills, and the third category is the life skills. So I first come to this first slot. The first one is the learning skills. What is that? The students should know the critical thinking. They should be creative. They should know how to collaborate the knowledge, and they should know how to communicate the knowledge. So the 4 basic skills are for they've been called as the learning skills. Now we come to the literacy skill. The first one is the information literacy. What has been provided, they have adopted it. Then is the media literacy, through what platform they are learning that content. And the technology literacy, you have put the content online, but they are not aware of where that content have been uploaded. So and how to explore it. So they cannot make use of that content. So we have to make our students ready, literate in technology skills. And then is the flexibility. They should be flexible, whether to learn through the video or the audio clips or through YouTube. They should have the flexible output. And then the other are the life skills. Besides giving them the content, besides making them the literate in technology, we should make them good citizens. Our main motive is to make them the global citizens, and that comes through the life skills. The first one is the leadership. Develop in them the leadership to make them able to take the decisions, make them to lead the group, and they should be able to take the initiative, and they should be productive, and they must have the social skills. So when they have these 12 skills together, these are being called as the 21st century skills, and you will be preparing your student for the 21st century citizens, right? So this is what 12 abilities that the student must need to succeed. Now the changed role of the teachers during lockdown. See, because teachers reaching to the learners, our role have been changed. Earlier we were going to the classroom, standing on one side of the table and students sitting on the next to you. So now the teacher is reaching to the learners in their homes to be classrooms rather than students coming to the schools. So teachers is teaching through the silver screen, not through the blackboards. So this has been changed. Shift of face-to-face learning to online silver screen meetings. And teachers as stress relievers for their students with empathy, counseling, communication during COVID-19 pandemic. Earlier, they used to communicate just their content and they come back to their rooms. So now they're not only the persons who are transferring the content, they are the stress reliever. When you meet and greet your student, how are you? Students feel so happy, the teacher is there before them. So, so it really relieves their stress, and you just talk to them whether you are okay, you are enjoying your holidays. You just talk to them, be personal to them, so they feel a little free of stress, and even their anxiety level goes down. So this is a new type of learning. This is help in retrieving their new learning. This will help them to have that higher order thinking. So this is the role of the teachers, to be as the stress relievers now. Then the teachers creating a happy and joyful learning environment to engage and motivate their students, to develop interest in learning and improve learning outcomes. Strong positive emotions are required. Teachers coming with the dull faces, unprepared, not properly dressed up. So, it just masks their enthusiasm. So when you come with the decked up, with a good personality, with a humorous note, so there's a strong positive emotions, and which help to increase retention of the learning among the learners. Teaching and learning are over now. Now, how to access and evaluate learning outcomes? This is the biggest question before the teachers. So from simple to complex, the teacher needs to conduct successful, transparent evaluation to make decisions faster about the learner's performance. Dr. Geeta has told, rather than asking them, giving some question paper or something, you ask them to evaluate the content, go to different websites and evaluate. I really like this idea. I can use and incorporate in my evaluation system also. And then we can use Google Forms, we can use Google Docs, we can use Form Stack, Captura, Typeforms, Poll-Daddy, Survey-Gizmo to create the test papers and puzzles for our students, and we can evaluate them. There are so many online techniques and platforms where we can evaluate our learners, and these are really learners friendly. There's the Insta exams, Metal exams, Eclabia, TestPress, ExamSoft, EdBase are some of the online exam software which can be used by the universities and colleges to make this learning, as to assess their learnings. And then comes the teacher can create and monitor exams and manage grades of a student easily by using these modules, by using these exam patterns, online exams softwares. A wide range of question options, shuffle between sections, depute timelines, and grade them, create cutoff. These a teacher can do it by using very simply by Google Docs or Google Forms. National testing agencies have been used now by the MHRD for online exam, for online entrance, for online. So the centralized examination pattern can be used. The universities can adopt that NTAs for their evaluation system. And for the higher level evaluation, take-home exam techniques are students are asked to bring 3 questions. And even I use in my college, the teachers choose 1 question and ask the student to write the answer with their creative and reflective thinking within a given time schedule. And you have to submit that answer on the given time frame. So this is one thing we can ask. We need not to prepare any question paper. We can ask the students to prepare the question paper on their own and ask them, because once they are preparing the question paper, they are reading the content. Our motive is to make them aware of the content, make them the content learn. So while they are turning the pages and reading the content, it means they are getting some information about that content. They are learning some of that content, and our motive is being solved. And then we ask them to write choose 1 question on your own and write the answer with your creative and reflective thinking. The other thing is we can give the project. A teacher can assign projects, making a small groups of the students. They discuss together, perform independently, and write the reports independently. So this can be done. Storytelling, poetry, reflective essays, memoirs can help in creative writing, and teachers can give them these assignments, and a student can write their reflections on that. Open book exam system can be used. It has been given by the MHRD, but teachers and students are not supporting much for this system. But maybe we can find some other alternative to evaluate the student. Short answer type question papers help to evaluate the learner's understanding on the content and even the creativity in writing the answers, which we fail to get in MCQs, right? So a short answer time can be used to examine and assess the learning outcome of the learners. My dear friends, COVID-19 will not go soon, as we all are aware of it. I'm really hopeful that we would learn to live with it. We'll follow safety measures and develop herd immunity. We'll change lifestyles and change education system. My dear friends, but one thing is for sure, it is a warning for all the teachers. Our students will develop the taste of online feast. So, my dear friends, be ready for the innovation in teaching, learning, and evaluation, making it technologically equipped and feasible for synchronous and asynchronous mode of teaching and learning. Because students, once the COVID is over and you go for the traditional teaching, they will demand the same thing for you. So instead of going for the traditional, you may opt the flipped learning, you may opt for the blended learning, or you may opt for the mobile learning. You can use any technology and make your teaching learning effective. So thank you so much and gratitude for listening to me patiently. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your motivational and insightful session. Hello, ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, very much.
Thank you very much for your excellent and motivational session. Ma'am, we won't entertain many questions now. We'll take 2 questions.
Yes.
The participants are willing to ask you 2 questions. So we have taken only 2 questions for you. One is by Elizabeth Kharkhongor. She has written that she is from a rural area where there is no so much of problem with network connectivity. So she, as a teacher, she finds it very difficult to reach out to her students. So how can she fill that digital gap?
Yes.
How can she fill up the
Yes,
digital gap?
thank you so much. And this is a very like prominent question, because this problem of internet connectivity or the technological tools like mobiles, the Android mobiles or laptops, so it is not available in many of the families, maybe in the remote areas or the poor families. So like the government is doing a lot and developing the content on radio, and the radio audio content is being prepared, and visual content, audio visual contents are prepared, the videos are prepared, and they have been transmitted on the DTH, and like through the TV and Gyan Darshan. There's so many channels of the government are coming out which are giving the information class wise. So in those areas, especially for the secondary education, there are lots of Gyan Darshan programs are there, and the DTH channels are there which are transmitting the content. So you can fix up the time schedule. You can invite the students in small groups and put them, measuring those social distancing. You can ask them to sit and show them in your school time. So this can be achieved that way, and you can invite the quality content from this DTH and the Doordarshan and television. So this can be approached. This is a big problem in India, especially in remote areas, villages where the internet connectivity is not proper. So government is doing a lot for that, to make the DTH channels for them so that they can gain the information through TV programs, which can reach to the disk and other facilities.
Thank you, ma'am, for your answer. Now we have another question raised by Kalparaj Chakravarti. He asked you that, do you strongly feel that teachers should be acquainted with technology through proper training, considering the present digital teaching learning situation?
Yes. Once I am not. Yes, very much. See, because I told you about the TPAC model. Earlier, we used to follow the pedagogy and content, and we used to teach in our traditional classes. That is why this TPAC model is becoming a prominent feature in teacher education program. Because technological skills, if I am not acquainted how to make that online content, how to upload that content, and how to make our students aware about it, so we cannot teach our learners. So in our teacher education program, there should be a specific module for developing the teaching competency by integrating these technological skills. Those 21 skills of BK Pasi sir can be obsolete right now, because in those BK Pasi's 21 teaching skills, it has not been prescribed the component of teaching is technological skills. So that can be integrated in that part for making our teachers more effective in using technology in their online classrooms. Is it fixing there?
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful answer.
Thank you.
So I think, ma'am, thank you so much for all the help and support that you have given us.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Okay. Thank you for joining with us.
God bless you. God bless you all. And happy, in a healthy stay for all of you. Safe and safety is the major concern. Education can be taken next year or maybe, but the health is the priority at this point of time. So always be safe. Always follow the safety measures. Thank you so much.
Wish you the same, ma'am. Wish you the same.
Thank you.
Now, living well is the primary goal in human life. So let us try our level best to live well in society. So now we'd like to listen to Ma'am Mueller, Dr. Mueller, B.M. Sangma from the Department of Education, Assistant Professor from the Department of Education, my friend, my colleague. I would like her to propose the vote of thanks.
I begin with a beautiful statement given by George Couros. Technology will not replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational. A very warm and good afternoon to all. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this national webinar. Let me first of all start by giving glory to the Almighty God for making today's webinar a resounding success. As all good things come to an end in life, so is today's webinar. On behalf of Don Bosco College Tura, I take this opportunity to thank all those persons who have directly or indirectly contributed to the webinar on technology and innovation in education, organized by the Department of Education, Don Bosco College Tura. From the depth of my heart, I thank our resource person, Dr. Geeta S. Shetty, Associate Professor, St. Xavier's Institute of Education, Mumbai. We are enlightened with our knowledge and presence shared on virtual education, making it a real success. Thank you, ma'am. I also thank Dr. Manju Gupta, Associate Professor, Meerut College, for delivering such a beautiful talk on innovation in teaching and learning during COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you, ma'am. I take this privilege to thank our respected principal, Don Bosco College Tura, Reverend Father Vivan Rodriguez Mukim, for his enthusiastic support and encouragement to organize this webinar. A special thanks to Mrs. Sengre G. Moman, in charge NIC, Tura and Treasury Officer Tura, for giving us the consent for the usage of the hall to organize this webinar. I also extend my heartfelt gratitude to our technical team, Mr. John Satish and Mr. Jevlin, in making this webinar successful. I also take this opportunity to thank our esteemed attendees for active participation and made this webinar happen. I take the pleasure to thank Ms. Dr. Uma Roy Bhomik, convener of the webinar, for taking the initiative of organizing today's webinar. Thank you, ma'am. Finally, I leave you this inspiring quote by Steve Jobs. Let's go invent tomorrow instead of worrying about what happened yesterday. Yesterday is already a dream. Tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived makes every yesterday a dream of happiness and every tomorrow a vision of hope. This is a humble reminder to all the participants. Your e-certificates will be provided to all the attendees before 15th August 2020. Once again, I thank you all for all your attention. Thank you, stay safe and take care.